Okay, today is June the 5th, it's 5 o'clock. This is Budget and Finance, and I call the meeting open. We've taken the roll in attendance. Uh, uh, Everybody with the agenda, I put 7B down there, Rural Fire Department. With that being said, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve amended
Ms.
agenda.
Jones,
Second.
second. Any discussion? All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Any public comments? I don't think anybody signed up. And we're gonna skip the minutes because we didn't have a minute taker the last time, so we'll do that.
Would you please ask for a motion to dispense of the reading?
I will
of the
ask for a
minutes?
motion to dispense of reading of the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Stubblefield,
I'll second.
Chambers, any discussion? All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Okay, we're down to number 6, and it's Mariana's budget amendments.
I don't have any.
No budget amendments, okay. All right, then we got to the budget proposal then.
Pretty
Okay,
quick.
so I just
Never
did a
stop.
snapshot, so
Okay.
y'all can tell me what you would like to see.
Do, okay.
Pass some of those. I got roughly estimates on all that.
One more.
Oh, you kept
I
moving.
need one more.
Here.
Thanks, sweetie.
You bet.
I'm sorry.
I'm still-
Is there another agenda somewhere, Terry, on that? Somebody pass it.
You can have them.
So, what I did was on the left-hand side, you got the actual fund balance at June 30th, 2024. So 11,936,148. Then you have the estimated decreased fund balance for this year that was fixing in June 30th, 2025. That's a decrease of 952,233. So the new estimated fund balance for June 30th, 2025 is 10,983,915. And then the estimated revenues for 2026, 28,048,946. Expenditures, 30,135,165. Difference between the revenue and expenditures is the 2,085,219. Projected fund balance at June 30th, 2026 is 8,898,696. And then I broke it down further between what is restricted committed and what is the unassigned fund balance. So restricted and committed balance 1,032,538. Estimated unassigned fund balance 7,866,159. So that's an estimated fund balance at June 30th, 2026 of 8,898,697. So on the right-hand side is the salary increases. You had me do that little spreadsheet. So if we do the 3%, that includes your payroll taxes, retirement, all those. The revised fund balance would be the 8,437,251. And then the 5% is $769,077, which reduces the fund balance to 8,129,620. And then the 7% is the 1,076,708, which the revised fund balance will be 7,821,989. So that's where we are right now. That's going in, taking out all the additional items we talked about last meeting, and then just putting the increases by statute that we have to do.
I've got a question real quick. On that right-hand column, your original spreadsheet that you presented to us,
Yes.
3% totaled 665,000. 5% was 992,000. 7% was 1,395,000. So how did all of this drop so much?
only for the general fund. This is just the general fund. See, this is general.
But you're doing all of it.
Just,
I
this
see,
is
I-
only the general fund.
This is, would be your total if we do across the board.
This
Is
is
that-
3% in the general fund, this is 5% in the general fund, this is 7% in the general fund. These, I don't have a snapshot of these other ones, but they're not that much.
But I'm going by this bottom one.
Yes, but we're going by the general fund, this is only the general fund,
Okay,
because we have to go by fund.
So we're gonna be $2 million in the hole here.
Yes. Which we have decided what our fund balance needs to be.
So what we sort of thought we might break even this year.
We made these very conservative estimates, because I
Yeah.
don't want to overthink it and then come up short.
one other question. So, all right, so if you're only looking at 3% in general fund payrolls, does that automatically, if we did approve that, is the highway funds, do you feel like that's gonna increase theirs like kind?
If they said across the board, we included all employees.
Okay, that's where the larger numbers come from. Okay.
What's our estimated revenue for the ending of this year?
Is 27,720,377.
27.3,
27,720,377.
7.2. And what did you project in last year's budget work?
What do you mean, what I project,
What did we think we were gonna get?
compared to what? Amended budget was.
What did we think we were gonna get in revenue in this budget cycle that we are now operating in?
The original or the?
The
amended?
original.
The original was 26,571,335.
Okay, so you're thinking we're gonna collect maybe $1 million more than what we projected?
Right, because you know, we
Okay.
have grants and all types of things that come in.
So that 952,000 that we're short right now will drop, should drop.
Most likely, but just there, like, be a little conservative on that.
And what were the expenditures for 2025? Since you gave us that revenue number,
Okay.
what would be
28,672,600.
28?
So we're thinking we're gonna go up on expenditures by about 1,000,004, something like that. 1,000,005
With or without raises?
without the raises. Cause that's, cause we've got estimated expenditures for 2026 of 30,135,000.
Who's missing besides Mayor Seaburn?
Terry Hirschman.
Terry.
Oh,
Terry,
yeah.
is there anything stands out that could be cut back? But we grew. About 1.5 million in expenditures.
You have to remember you have grants there that come in.
To cover some of that?
Yeah, we have the revenue.
Okay.
You know, they're not always an exact match. Not to put the sheriff on the spot, but, you know, we had.
Oh, he can't help that. That's
No, he
just,
can't,
that's
but,
just
you know,
life.
We had some,
Yeah,
he already explained it,
Yeah.
medical.
I mean, when you,
You know.
you have to take care of those people,
Right,
that's just the way it is. You can't, you know,
I mean, so
that's
you
just,
can't cut those lines.
no,
I
that's
mean,
stuff we just have to eat.
um,
Looking at history, are these numbers, how reliable are they? Pretty right on. Pretty right on.
I'm gonna try to find it.
I don't think I've given a mayor's report, but I would like to tell you what my budget looks like. I made significant cuts in last year's budget. And this year, my line item is gonna be about $100,000 less than it was this year. But, you know, in full disclosure, we moved one position from the mayor's budget to, the accounts and budget line items, which would account for about 60 of that, 100,000. So I've done all I can do to trim back. The attorney, the county attorney, that's pretty
Yes.
significant. Our county attorney and legal services is, we budgeted 65,000, total for those two line items, and I feel like we're gonna be right there on it. Don't you think, Mariana? I don't think we're gonna go over on that at all. So we're in good shape there.
Okay. Grants and outside revenue, how much ballpark?
So, you're looking at the state, the state funding?
Just anything extra we might get.
The only thing I know, and it's already in here, is the, federal election, if you pay for that, it's coming in. It's hard to tell, they come in just so odd.
Would there be $1 million worth of grants out there?
I
No.
really, we have so many now, I
Okay.
just don't
All right. It's
see
good.
where somebody would get
I'm
more
just-
money. But it's kinda been a lot that I wouldn't probably would have received, but most those are those types of improvements, they're obviously not
With the houses being built that are being built now, does that property tax come into us next year? Or this year, 2026?
It will be,
This
total
one.
will be, 25,
Okay,
which we use for the
Okay.
2026 budget. We did put out 2.2%.
and you've already put that in there then?
I have not,
You've
but
not?
I did too.
Okay.
So there's some other figures I wanna double check first.
Well, when you take what we're over and add the 3% to it, we'll be 2.5, really 2.6 over.
Can we get a total of the grants we received this year? What have we received in 2025? And then we know we've even added additional grants on top of that.
We have, several that are, like the family treatment court is 5 years. Got around, right now, about 600,000. And then some that's for this year. There's a few that are recurring. Some are reimbursement grants, it depends on what is spent.
So if we got $600,000 back and we gave a 3% raise, we'd be still about 2 million. 1.95.
The recurring ones I've already included.
Oh, okay.
We get those. So we got another, 600,000. It's kind of hard to say. 'Cause we've got several for the sheriff's department, some of the big ones. The Second County Treatment Court, we have a new department for that, but that's fully funded by this grant. And then recovery court's a new department, but the state gave us 100,000 for that recurring, and then the rest comes from the opioid money. No.
Marion, when they had the meetings where everybody come up and asked for whatever vehicle, whatever, do you have that list, or did we approve?
That's going to be in capital projects.
Most of them, that's capital project.
Yeah, that's the one I was saying I have to work on, I've gotta get with
I have that, I have what they needed.
Well, I was talking about like vehicles, okay, all that's capital project.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's not included
No, we take
in
that
what we're
at
talking about now. We're just talking about raises.
171.
We're talking about,
Normal operating, what's on here?
Day-to-day stuff,
do what, day to day?
day-to-day, not buying any equipment and stuff like that. I just don't see how we grew by $2 million.
You know, the state mandates for all of our elected
Oh, yeah.
officials 3%. I wonder where the state comes up with that number.
Cost of living,
Is that the cost of living?
probably so.
Yeah, but I don't think that 3% is gonna cover the cost of living.
No, but that's what they mandated.
That's
for
what they
the
mandated, but
for
I
the
don't think
elected
that 3% is
officials.
gonna cover any cost of living
Yeah.
that they may incur.
I have a copy of what I used for revenues, if you'd like.
No, I'm good with that. What's anybody wants a copy of the revenues sources? Cause I'm good on that. Understand this is-
I know that equipment and stuff and all that comes into capital projects, but in the budget, what we're counting, is it included on what the department heads came and asked for, like for raises for their departments? Is that included in your numbers? I mean,
Not in this number.
That's including
Okay.
what you handed out
It
here.
was on the first
Mhm.
one that you have in your budget packet. This one just has the mandatory raises,
Okay,
and then
And then this page shows you the 3, 5, and 7.
not the amounts that they had, like, so I know some, had requested higher amounts. I didn't know if that's what
yeah,
the
I
numbers you were
was
including.
asked to make it just,
Gotcha.
and then we'll use that,
Mhm.
3, 5, and 7.
And our sales taxes.
Mm-hmm. If people will buy online and buy here and leave the sales tax in the county,
Looks like 8% so far. And none of them, so they don't want the first half of the schools, so. everything went down. Of course, I'm gonna say this, and y'all probably get mad, but I'd like to remind, we give the schools that TVA money, we don't have to. $670,000 their budget, and you can pull it back, cause the way the budget is worked, it doesn't affect maintenance of effort as long as it's the budgeted revenues budgeted, not, what actually comes in. Let's say that, cause, I'm not saying taking it away, but you asked,
Mhm.
so I'm just reminding you, we do give them that,
That is extra, yeah.
and it's already 88.
Right.
You don't have to, that's the one thing that they did that, budget, it's like that. Where I started, so.
So when we approved that 8.5% last year, on that last year's budget, how did we fare on that now that we're toward the end of that, how are we faring on that?
That's where I've got a difference between the revenue and expenditures of that 952,000. But, that's a combination of,
just revenues, you know, being a little lower than expected on some, not all. Some are a little higher. Most of the local revenues are holding pretty strong. But, you know, that does factor into it because if you look at last year's budget, you know, when we set the budget, it was, let's see here what the original budget was when we approved it.
But what you're saying, there's more things that factor in than that 8.5%.
Right, into the $952,000 deficit that I estimated we would end up with.
Do you say it factors 50%, just a percentage on that, or
Sorry,
a percentage? Is it like 50% of the debt? 25%?
of the debt.
So that 8.2 that we approved.
Can't really say, just. Salaries do increase. Increases payroll taxes, retirement, all that.
Just by step raises.
When we budgeted last year, we budgeted a deficit of $2,299,842. So you gotta remember that going forward, we already had that. Normally by year, we get close to being even. The year before, we ended up with $1,153,632 on the good side.
So last year, we thought when we set the budget, we were 2.8 short, and we've come down to 952,000.
Right, that's right.
So we've gained $2 million
Yeah, it was like 2.3 rounded up.
in extra revenue.
Right. I mean, you could get
Yeah.
some of these outside entities to give us some more money. Yep, you bring your work form.
Didn't you guys one year pass nominal pay raise to be reviewed mid-year when revenues didn't the budget and finance do that a few years ago?
Yeah.
I thought it was a bonus.
But they want to make it
It's
a
a bonus.
bonus instead of, they want to
Right.
review it for a bonus
Okay,
instead of putting, you know, like whatever percentage we did on the front, they want to come back mid-year and do it in bonus.
gotcha.
But I don't think we ever did that mid-year. That never happened.
If we had any other requests, we wanted to wait until January.
Right,
Anything that came in after the budget.
right. So,
I guess I'm like Tim. If we're looking at the 952 as a potential shortfall for this year, how can we be that much worse a year from now when we're bringing on property and gaining tax revenues from that? How can we be that much worse off?
Okay, because you're going to have your increased cost on, you've got your increased cost on your salaries.
Well, that's not even programmed in here, though.
There is on the elected, on the statute
Oh,
ones.
okay, okay.
And you have the increases just on your normal ones, like on your medical insurance.
In step
And
raises.
yeah, and
Okay.
anything else. So that can affect it. But typically, until it gets us, I close the books for good, you know, I can look at what I have and estimate, and I do estimate on the low end, obviously.
So you still got a month of revenue coming in for this fiscal
Right,
year?
I've already, what I know is going to come in, that I have to accrue back to June, there's stuff that comes in July that goes back to
Mhm.
this year. I pretty much know what that is, but, you know, you'll have other things come in that, oh, I didn't know, you know, just,
So the 952 might drop down to 600,000.
right. And what I've estimated that each department's gonna spend, they may not spend that much. So it may
Right.
come down a lot,
Right.
Okay.
you know,
But that's still eating at the fund balance.
And what was the comparable number for the 952 for last year? Just so we can,
2.3 million, so we
So-
started with.
no, I'm talking about, you're saying we were down 2.3 million?
We
This
budgeted
year would be 952. I'm asking what the number would be for that, the fund balance would be. Estimate fund balance,
For
To the end of the year.
2023,
yes, comparable with those numbers that we just got for the revenues and expenditures. What would be that number compared last year for the 952?
when we close the books, were we
Yeah.
ahead or behind?
Right, what was that end number?
So that's the year that we were 1.1 above.
Here's that one, yeah, let's see, we had dealt with. So you're talking about 2024?
That number that would compare to that number.
Yes.
You've given us those other two numbers for revenues and expenditures, and I'm curious as to what that number for last year was. So now then, you would have the hard numbers, so that would be an actual where it ended up for that, for last year.
2024. The revenues for 2024,
Now, you gave us that number, so you gave us that.
okay, that's 2026 estimated for 2026 for this next year that we're working on.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, we got that.
She's asking about the
I'm talking
952,000.
about this, what was the comparable number?
In 2024,
Up
were we
there.
above when we closed the books out?
When we closed
2024,
the-
were we a
Yeah,
deficit
since you
or a?
gave us that,
Right.
so
Extra.
we'll compare, what's the comparable number for
Right.
that one?
Right.
That's the one I'm looking for.
You were making that.
Because we know we've gone up in revenues and we've gone projected in
Right.
expenditures, and so that's where we are.
We
Where
ended
were
at
we?
11,938, with 936 was at the top.
Mhm.
And our original budget for 2024, if that's what you're asking for revenues, because I'm not quite sure how that is.
I've got a question, says y'all finish with her
Well, I do
question.
too, but I'll let you go.
And this may be a sanitation board question. Who pays for the trash removal at the school?
Randy does.
So it comes out the county, our money, the county money instead of the school's money?
Comes out of rural.
Comes out of rural money.
Randy does that.
Could we move that over to the school and let that be an expense for them?
We can, but then it would be AD aid, and we'd have to pay for both cities.
Yep, Tullahoma and
So if you
they
paid,
get the same
that's right, if
amount.
you moved it over there, then you're gonna have
We
to
gotta
pay
give them money too.
Manchester and
It'd be,
Tullahoma.
it'd be a net loss when you got through with it.
Y'all did the
Same thing with the dumpsters then, the cost of the dumpsters?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, they own 2 or 3 dumpsters, the school system does.
Yeah.
And they pay him to fix them. The middle school, the Deerfield, and
New Union,
Hillsborough maybe.
Hillsborough, I think.
Because they paid for those compactors
Okay.
to be replaced.
We went through that.
All right, you still looking up, Mariana?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was waiting on her. Cause she may have to, she might can tell me off the top of her head, but she's busy right now.
Me too.
Okay, so the original budget, 2024, June 1st, 2023, this is what we did the prior year. The difference between what we budgeted between revenues and expenditures was $1,574,752.
Okay.
To the good side.
No, that's
That, a deficit?
Mhm.
Okay, I thought you said that was good side.
So then we did do better.
Yes.
If we projected to do a loss of 1.57, we did better by
Right.
ending up with that. So
Yes.
that would take into consideration the grants and all of that stuff, I'm assuming.
That
And
revenue
like you
coming in
said,
higher.
and people
or
not spending all their
not
budget.
spending.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you. That gives us an idea.
Do you have any projections on, what our insurance will go up this coming year?
It's going to be around 5.
5%?
I always typically do 5 every year, and that way if it doesn't, you know,
It's covered.
you'll have half a year the rate we are now, and then the new one
Right.
will start January 1st, 2026.
Exactly.
So if insurance goes up 5%, we give a 5%, that pretty much takes
It's kind
care
of
of
a
that.
wash, right?
Wipes them out.
If insurance goes up 5 and we give 5, that's kind of a, for them, for the employees, it's kind of a, if we give 3, they're kind of going backwards.
Exactly.
1,153 to the good
What year?
year before last.
2024,
Yeah.
2023? We were $1.5 to the good side.
$1,000,001.
Million one, okay.
We started out with a deficit. When we did the budget, approved budget was $1,000,005 deficit. Then we ended up positive $1,100,000.
Thank you for
That's good.
providing
I
that.
mean,
Thank you.
Last year, we
I
started out
appreciate it.
2.3 behind, and we're only gonna be about 900 behind,
Right.
which could be even lower than that. This year, we're gonna do 2 million, which is less than what we started out last year, right? 2.3 last year, we were in the hole when we started,
Make
am
a
I right?
recommendation of, yeah.
All right, we started out 2.3 last year in the hole.
Well,
This year, we're projecting 2 million in the hole.
Is that with, salary increases or just that?
Now, that's just,
flat
there.
flat numbers.
Okay.
I got a comment. The debt is not the county employees' fault.
Oh, no.
It's our fault.
No.
For spending too much money. I think we need to find ways to cut some money.
I'm all open,
So
because
do
I've
we
looked this
all.
thing up and down.
Just got to
I
look.
mean, there's
So do we all.
$50 here and $50 there that you can whack out maybe, but not $2 million worth. And the jail inmates have to be cared for. There's no getting around that. There's no throwing them out the back door or nothing else. They have to be cared for, and that costs a fortune. I'll have to give them credit. They've really done well about cutting their medical costs down and negotiating. That's just, I don't know if that's I guess that's federal law that we take care of inmates. If you have insurance and you go into the jail, your insurance ceases to exist. Because you become an insured of the county, and that makes no
Right.
sense to
No, it
me.
don't. It doesn't.
I'll say this, a long time ago when I was on the county commission, an older gentleman taught me that you do not pay for recurring expenses out of the fund balance. And that's just been beating my head that, if we keep taking and taking and taking, there'll be nothing left at the end. And he was a very smart man.
All right, I'm gonna make a recommendation.
Recommendation or a motion? Make
I wanna
recommendation
discuss
first.
it first.
Discuss it first.
But let's discuss it first. So the $670,000 that we do give the school board that Mary Ann was talking about, I say we pull that back and we do the 7%. I mean, the insurance is gonna keep going up. I mean, it's giving them an extra 2% because if the insurance is going up 5 and we do a 5, they're not getting nothing.
That's an estimated 5% increase in insurance. Yeah, I mean, it could be more,
Unless I see, I've been doing 5,
yeah.
you know, cause it's a half a year, 6 months, and then I look at it a year. Cause I never know what insurance employees are going to pick for the next year, and sometimes that can come and then go up. That's why you see them always having to amend budgets for that too, you know, it's, you know, I don't know. But 5 has been good the last, I don't know, 10 years.
Do we know what the school actually does with that money? Like where it goes and what it's used for?
Goes in the fund balance.
Just their fund balance and what they use it
Part of
for?
their revenues. Their revenues.
Don't need any more money.
It's just, you know,
A
But can we
gift.
do that?
It's a
Do we have to
gift.
rescind the budget we approved, or we just have to
I don't know,
To them, since if we do that.
you would have to, I think you would have to have a motion that,
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I mean, if we make if the motion's made, I mean, how do you, what's
I mean, we don't-
procedures after that?
we don't approve their line items, I mean, and the county commission is supposed to set the revenues. The law was changed a year or so ago. You have to look at it and figure out the estimates and where you think it's gonna be, instead of, not that our school system plays games, but there has been issues in the past. 'Cause it
That's not,
goes-
excuse me, I didn't mean to.
It goes by the budgeted, the budgeted local match has to be so much. And I don't know if you've seen that formula, it's pretty complicated, but I know over 20 years ago, we had a deficit, and in order to avoid a tax increase that year, those were the only, like I said earlier, the only source of revenue that did not have to be ADA with the other schools, cause it's already ADA when it comes in.
That wouldn't affect, if we did something like that, that wouldn't affect any of their raises if they got projected or anything.
Well, they have a pretty healthy fund balance.
Yes, it
Okay.
And I haven't looked
I'll
at.
second your motion.
I gotta make the motion first. I didn't actually make one. I just wanted discussion.
I know.
Tim, what
That's
was
what
your
the motion
question
made.
regarding rescinding what? You said
Oh, that we made
rescind-
earlier, that was on the assumption that I thought that they were getting, what, a
7%.
7% raise. And
So far, you guys, you've only approved amendments to their current budget, right?
That's all.
Is that what you're talking about?
What?
Amendments to the current one?
They brought their budget.
Yeah.
We already-
yeah, they brought the budget, I think we approved it.
But the full commission has
The full
to still
commission has
approve
not, they have not approved it, but
it. Yeah, it's not
us as a
approved.
committee
It
has
is not approved, it's a recommendation.
approved. But I mean, explain that again, and that, he answered my question on how, see, I thought they were getting, the teachers were getting equivalent of 7% raise.
That's what I'd heard. I
And the
thought they
classified,
were-
With the
and the,
$2,000 bonus.
and the others are getting, well, I don't know, I
It's
think.
straight across the board, 4% for Coffee County schools. Now, I don't know what Manchester City's doing, and the bonus is coming from the state of Tennessee for teachers in the classroom only.
And accepting that, doesn't that state mandate that every teacher has a minimum of $50,000 a year.
the next
Isn't
2
that the
years, yes.
stipulation?
The
That's
next
what they're
2
trying to
years.
get to.
They're
That's
trying
what they're
to-
trying to get to, and I
they're
have no
trying to
problem with
get
that.
Yeah.
No,
Because that's mandated by the state, it's a
Right.
minimum pay for teachers for that.
because they have to meet their mandate.
Yeah, oh, yeah. But the $2,000 for teachers is a one-time deal from the state of Tennessee for our school board to accept, charter schools.
And also mandate that minimum salary, wasn't
No,
it?
the
It
two
wasn't?
thousand dollars is just a bonus to teachers in the classroom
Well,
one time this year.
I was reading some news coverage on a neighboring county where the school board refused to grant the 2,000, so they would not be mandated to meet that minimum salary requirement, is the way I read it, so that may be
Yeah, I think
accurate or not.
The minimum
accurate.
salary is already set.
Okay.
Everybody's trying to get to that. The $2,000 are for the charter
Okay.
schools. The one-time deal to make you feel better.
Right. But he answered, like, before this meeting, he answered the question I had, but I wanted, you got the answer I got, so.
I'll make a motion to keep the $670,000 in our budget this year versus giving it to the school board.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? Cause Tim's gonna have to set this one out.
Cause what now?
I have to abstain.
Oh, yeah.
Cause I'm a school
Yeah.
employee. Any discussion? All those in favor, by aye. Okay, carries. That'll move you.
Who is secretary?
Me.
You got her motion written down?
I
Be
did
sure it gets recorded accurately.
Yeah.
Cause you will be asked.
Okay, so that, when you move that money over,
Add it to the revenue side.
What was that total?
670,000.
671,240 is
Okay.
what we've been given to the schools.
240.
The 7% for the general fund, that would be a total of 1,076,000. So you almost covered it by that, retaining that 600, right?
Yeah, so it should be like 406.
if you do the
Yeah.
5%,
Seven
you'd
oh
really
eight.
almost pay it.
Yeah.
But we're trying to give them something extra if the
I know.
insurance is going up.
Right.
So this motion to rescind the, keep the 671, and what else did you say?
The TBA money.
Yeah, that was that it?
And not give it to the school is how I put it.
Okay, so that was the only motion, right?
Yes.
You wanna make a motion for seven?
I mean, yeah.
I wanna make a motion for a 7% pay raise for the employees.
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second for 7%.
Can we discuss?
Yes.
At our last meeting, we said something about, I believe Commissioner Brown said something about giving the department heads
Right,
3%, and then putting the rest of it into the department heads' hands to allocate the raises to their own employees.
I think that was 3% across the board though, wasn't it?
No,
It got discussed.
no,
both
it got
ways.
discussed.
It got discussed, it got discussed where we're just gonna give like 3% to the department heads only, and whatever percentage
Yeah, we did
to,
discuss it.
to the employees to, and they, the department
was
heads were to
distribute, yes.
distribute it out.
Mhm.
Right.
Should we change my motion?
Can I, well, you can change it, I guess, can't you?
Yeah, you can change your motion if she'll go along with it.
I was gonna amend it if you want me to.
Well, I'll amend it. I want to amend my motion about the 7% for the employees. The directors get only a 3% pay raise, and the employees get the 7% distributed by the directors. How they feel they need to, is that
Is that, she have to okay
Yeah,
the
she has
amendment?
to okay
Yes.
it.
Is that fine with
Agree
you?
with it. Yes.
Okay, so we amended it. She's good with the amendment. Now we're back to discussion.
I was gonna say 4, but you said 3, but.
I think
We're
you,
gonna say
you,
forest.
if we start making differences between people though, and I know that some people are higher and they get more, and some people are lower and they get less, but if you start making differences between people, you can cause conflict.
I
I'm sure
agree.
that happens
I
everywhere, though.
agree.
And
Well,
I
and
agree with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
I do too.
I agree with what you're saying, but if you just do it straight across the board, they're not,
We don't know.
nothing's getting
To the employee.
adjusted.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Well, what I'm saying is if you leave the department head at 3 and give the employee 7,
That's not fair.
I just don't know if that's fair or not. That's just Tim.
It is
not
fair.
fa-
It
that's
is
not
fair,
fair.
because some people,
No,
they're only
it's not
making $13,
fair.
$14 an hour, and they deserve a bump. And if I'm making $70,000, I don't want a dime pay raise.
Well, that might be just you.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Well,
Well, I
what,
mean,
I
if
don't
you're
wanna pay
making 70,000, no matter what you're doing, the cost of living's on everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these people have 2 degrees and stuff like that, or some don't, and I know that shouldn't make a difference, but it does in the business world. That's how they become a supervisor too. Sometimes they have extra degrees and things like that. So
If
that's
they're-
just
Well,
Tim.
If they're good
actually-
supervisors, they should take care of their employees.
well, that was the reason we had that discussion, was we said the department heads that were not governed by the state needed to be given whatever raise we decided, which if we're gonna give 7 to them, the rest of the 7% would go to that supervisor to allocate,
Yeah.
right?
It would be a pool.
It would be a
You
pool.
would have a pool
but
of
at
however
le-
many employees
But
at
at least he would be
7%.
getting the same as,
Well, right now, the supervisor's only gonna get 3.
well, if we, not the ones that are not affected by the state. The state,
Yeah, the way he states it right now
yeah,
is
that's
every
what I'm saying.
supervisor's only
But
gonna
that
get
isn't
3%.
Yeah, but that isn't what we said last time. That was
Okay.
just exemplary. We were saying to give those department heads whatever raise. And I agree with what you're saying. It's not fair to give them 3 and then give their employees 7. But if we give them the 7 also, that's the intent, and then give them control of the other 7, somebody in some departments may get more than that, the ones that are the low pay achievers.
Yes.
Because it should be on performance, period.
But you said the state's giving them the 3%, so if we get
No,
7, they'll
not
be
them.
getting 10.
They're not giving
No,
department heads
no,
3%.
they're not-
It's
no.
just
They're
It's just
not.
elected
May I,
officials.
may
Yes,
I
Mayor.
please, an
Yeah.
example, straight across the hall in our codes enforcement officer. Kirk Gray is a department head. He's not mandated salary,
Yes.
is not state mandated. Last year, he got the 8% as a lump sum of money. He divided that lump sum of money by 4. He got the smallest percentage rate. That did not happen in every department in Coffee County government. That's what I had a problem with. I feel like if you're gonna do it 7%, it should be a lump sum money with the stipulation that that department head cannot take more
It's
than
locked
what
in.
would be a 7%.
He's locked in at 7.
I agree
Correct.
with that.
That, I feel like that's the fair
That
thing.
makes
And then
sense.
if they wanna divide it out where they only
Yeah.
get 5 and their bottom employee gets 9, that's what happened across the hall. The lowest paid
Right.
individual in there got the largest
Commend
percentage.
your,
Right.
Which
Well,
was
like I
our
say,
Do you
intent.
understand?
Yeah, I understand, but he
Okay.
also got a bump in pay. Do you remember that? A $5,000 bump in pay?
Well.
Yes, he did.
4.
he probably needed that $5,000.
Well, he did,
because
but
he
I'm just
don't.
saying that if you were to bump him, bump everybody. I mean,
You're
if
saying
not
he
being-
got bumped and nobody else did.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm the one that brought it up and it got passed.
Well, maybe he needed to be,
Well, I'm saying he did, because he was low.
and everybody else is fine.
But
Well,
did you
then, yeah,
think
that's
he
I'm not
did
saying
the
they are,
right-
but you know what I mean.
Then that goes
Yeah.
back up to 3% for the department.
He did
and
the
7
right
for the
thing,
employees.
I'm
that's
not going
right.
with that.
Okay,
He
do you
did the
want
right
to,
thing by
Oh, yeah, he
dividing.
did.
Okay.
all right,
I need to know what the motion is.
Okay, the motion is, do you want to amend the motion or you want it to stay as it is?
We'll leave it like it is, let somebody else.
All right.
You amend, can I amend?
What's the motion?
Well, he has to agree to the amendment.
Will you agree to my amendment?
No.
What if
Okay.
I don't agree with it?
Then you can say
And then
no.
he can.
Whichever
Then
one
vote
you're-
no.
You don't count, it's gotta go through him first.
I
Yeah.
second it.
Well, we can, I mean, you can vote and then bring it all
Nobody
back
has
up.
to agree
Yeah.
on an amendment. If you
No.
wanna make an amendment and it gets a second, then it's amended after we vote on
Voted
your
on.
amendment.
Okay.
Okay?
But first
The
we need to
amendment
vote.
agreement part is
Yeah.
between those two whenever they're doing their.
That,
their-
the main motion.
their motion.
right
Yeah.
now
I agree with
between
that.
So can I deny my own motion?
Not now.
No, no.
I mean, the
Since
motion
we
can
hadn't
fail.
voted.
I like-
would think
All right,
you could
I'd
double
like to make an
fixing.
amendment that we give
No,
the department head 7% only. That's just locked in. They can't get any more. And the 7% to the employees, or not to the employees, the 7% given to the department head to be distributed amongst employees, as, you know, to make everything right, you know, if you got one down, you know what I'm talking about. And my other amended would be, they have to file a plan with the mayor. Like if you're gonna bring this one up and this one down, they have to, the department heads have to file a plan with you on what how they're gonna do that, and you need to approve that.
I would really like for you to simplify it by saying the department head can't take more than 7%.
That's,
You're
In a
saying
nutshell, that's
they
what
get
I'm-
7%.
in a nutshell,
Say
that's
they
what I'm
can't
saying. They
take
can't
more.
take any more than
They can take
7%.
less.
they can take less if they want to. They
Yeah.
can't take any more. But any plans they make to adjust has to be brought before the mayor.
Perfect.
And it has to be on your approval.
The department head salary?
No, on his
No, no.
employees.
I don't think the mayor, it's my department, I'm just saying, I should be able to.
distribute your
Yeah,
raises.
because that's why I'm a.
Well, I'm not saying you
Right,
can't do it,
right.
but it needs to be
I
brought
don't
before his
think I should
attention.
have to have him approve it. I mean, that's my job.
Yeah,
Well, yes, that is your department, but who's
You
other?
approve
I
raises?
agree.
No, I'm
You
saying
approve
if
raises?
y'all-
All
That's
right,
exactly
all right.
what you're
I
saying.
got an amendment.
So,
Yes.
look, can I ask a question?
Yes,
So, he made a motion and she seconded it.
yes,
But we all didn't vote, so that motion could have failed.
yes, it could have.
So, I mean, and then there wouldn't
But
have
he's
been
made
an amendment.
then he's made the amendment though. If it fails for a second, then it will go back to them.
All right, you got that amendment. I just need a second from somebody.
Please restate.
The
your
amendment is,
amendment.
his amendment is the department head gets no more than 7%. His employees or her employees get 7% in a group pool to be divided up by that department head. But that department head will get no more, hopefully less than 7%, and give more to their employees. That's his amendment.
And they have to take, if they do that, if they give everybody 7%, that's fine. But if they divvy it out differently, it needs to be a plan
No, she
that
said
goes
no.
before the mayor.
I don't think that's right.
No,
I
not the
do.
plan.
Well, I think it's right.
I
'Cause
do.
who's the mayor? The mayor's over the department heads, technically.
She needs to know what's final decided, so
Not-
payroll
not the
is
employees.
square.
Not my employees or other department heads and they manage their employees.
Oh, you're talking about you don't want anybody else approving what you
Right.
decide each employee get in your
Exactly.
department. Now, I
Well,
see
he
what
won't be
you're saying.
Exactly.
approving it. He
Yeah,
just gets the
no.
plan.
He won't
He
be
just gets to
approving it.
know,
He'll get the pla-
he just gets the
I
plan
think
of
he's
what you're
getting the
doing.
plan. Did I say approval?
Yeah,
Let me
we
take
fill
that
out
back.
You said
the
approve.
form.
Man, okay,
We
thank
all
you.
fill
All right.
out a form
I got,
we're
What-
I got
supposed to.
discussion on what he just said.
Okay.
So if,
Well,
The state-
technically, I need a second before we discuss any more. How about that?
I second his plan.
All right, we got a second by Ms. Jones. Now, Mr. Brown, you can discuss.
so the elected officials get 3%,
Yes.
and then now we're gonna give the department heads a 7%, so that's not fair either.
They're paid less than the elected officials
that
by
doesn't
quite
matter.
a bit.
That-
Yes,
that
it does
doesn't matter.
matter.
We don't-
Yes, it does matter.
Then you,
So they're getting cheated.
Well, they're not gonna get a full 7%.
So 3% to the department heads, 7% to employees. They're paid less than department heads. A lot less.
That's the
A
law.
lot less.
Who's paying, getting paid a lot less?
The employees are getting paid a lot less than the department head.
well, that's why you have supervisors too,
That's why
though.
we're trying to amend that and let the,
I mean, when the buck
performance
stop, I'm just
show up.
saying this. When the buck stops in Kurt's office and something goes bad, who gets in trouble or who has to answer for it? Kurt. when the budget goes bad, Mariana's people don't answer. She's the one that gets thrown on the carpet. I'm just saying, you know, there's more responsibilities up through the pipeline too there to do some of those things. Like Mr. Marcusoni over there. Something goes wrong in his office, he's not going to his people, they're going to him.
And you
So-
mentioned something about maybe bumping those lower employees up last meeting.
Bumping them up.
That will be up to the
That's
supervisor.
gonna be
yeah.
up to
That's
the-
performance
I thought an
driven.
extra,
No, just
No,
like
that's
last
gonna be
year.
up to the
All right.
department head.
On his amendment, any more questions?
Can I make sure I got the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
On the amendment, Commissioner Stubblefield made a motion, amendment to do a 7% with department heads to divide amongst his employees, but not exceed the higher amount.
Not exceed 7%, does it?
Okay. All right.
theirself.
Okay, for themselves.
For the
Yep.
department head, yeah.
All right, everybody good with that? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, now we vote on the whole deal, because that's just the amendment. Now we vote on his whole motion of doing 7% for everybody, department heads. Department heads no more than 7%, could be less, spread amongst their people with a plan going to the mayor's office. Okay, all those in favor?
Excuse
Aye.
me, Ted,
Mhm.
those are two different line items.
What is?
The employees' salaries and then the
It'll,
department head.
yeah, it will come 7%. Or that it'll come into a pool and they can give 7%. The max that department head can get is 7%.
It's sounding like you're saying the department head can take 5 and give 2% to his other people. That's
can.
No.
mingling the
That's
line
not what
items.
They can do that, right?
Yeah, they can.
Or vice
We
versa.
did
Yes,
it
they can.
last year.
That's what I've
So
been
we're,
hearing.
we're,
So
she's
some
good with
employees
it.
won't get a 7%.
All right. Those that approve this right now.
Just do a show of hands.
Okay,
That'd be
show of
great.
hands. Okay. Everybody but Brown, yes. Okay.
Did you abstain or vote no?
Well, he didn't ask me to say no, but I'll vote no because
It's the same.
Okay. All right,
Like
so
somebody
that'll
brought
go
up.
to the
Okay,
floor.
no, just so everybody's squared,
somebody could.
how they are dispersing the 7% comes to the mayor's office as a record, not
Yes.
for approval.
Yes, as a
Okay.
record, yes.
And
And,
maybe I misspoke
okay,
on that, but
that
that's fine.
way.
No
if-
mayoral approval. The department head gets to set the
Right.
raises. It just
Right.
comes in there that somebody can come
Then
look
if an
at.
employee gripes about it mid-year or some, for
You can
whatever
see why.
reason, I can pull out the record and say, this is what was presented,
Right.
and we got backup,
And
right?
so, if they distribute it and give 10%, which they can,
Yeah.
10 and 2%.
They could
That
take
can happen.
nothing.
Yeah.
Can, yeah.
They could take nothing.
Well, if you have a slug that doesn't show up 5 minutes late every
Performance
day and you
based.
don't get rid of them,
They
but
know
they stay.
performance
I mean,
based.
Right.
that slug doesn't need the,
Well, I'm not saying they're a
5%.
slug, I'm just saying they may
We're
not like
saying
it.
performance
You have more
based.
people that
Nobody likes
are
my
cheaters.
comments.
No,
I'm the slug.
no. All right, any more for the budget proposals?
Time to go home.
Okay,
Looked at nonprofits. So it was decided 2 years ago we would do,
Okay.
you know, the employees are operating on that first, and then we go back and do nonprofits.
I hope not.
Nonprofits.
what about part-time employees? Are they included in this?
all right, y'all, nonprofits, we're already in hole.
They make the decision. If they want to give their part-time more, they can.
Okay, I'm with you.
They can. It's up to them.
How
Because
much
some
did
of
we
them,
get last
that's
year?
been our problem, that came to us. So that's
You're
solved.
on cap
Yeah, so let them decide.
Okay.
This may get kicked back to us anyway, I'm afraid.
Still didn't have
No.
Listen, she's got nonprofits, because we haven't talked about them.
Would that include the volunteer fire department?
No,
Can we go,
okay,
how many nonprofits do we have?
That's not what we're
Okay.
giving them over the other thing.
yeah,
It's
and that's not in the budget yet.
Nonprofits are?
810,558.
How many did you say?
$810,858.
Lord mercy.
It's on page 30 of your budget book if you have your budget book.
Oh, I don't have that
Got
budget
my
book.
blue book in the other truck.
Is it in that one?
Maybe we'll have to circle back and.
Well,
That's a big chunk right there.
That was what was in her, when he put 7B.
That's a nonprofit total.
Another one's $1 million.
Look at the first one. That's the biggest one.
Are we talking about this one?
Yep. All the 810.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know what we,
We give $500,000 to the rural fire department and 80,000 to the rescue squad.
Can I change my vote on your notes?
Sure.
Just go ahead and vote yes.
I
Because,
think we're gonna have to put something
because
back.
somebody's gonna say,
We're way
you
too
voted no
over.
against our pay raise.
Mayor, what do you
I
think?
know.
I said, no, I didn't.
About-
I was for
I
it
think
for
we're
7.
way
That's
too
not-
over.
Motion carried.
Be quiet, Chad.
He wants to be the
Oh.
new guy today.
Just that line or everything?
Well, when we give this raise right here, when you give this raise that we just voted on,
Mike should have talked about other stuff first.
yeah,
We did talk about it. I mentioned that it's not in there.
Yes, she did, I heard it.
it was like briefly talked about.
Yeah, because it was talked about the last 2 years, why are we talking about the nonprofits first instead of our county employees? And we need to decide what to do with that, and that's what we've been doing. Then we go back and do the,
Didn't we, one year, I don't think it's last year, didn't we, a lot of this stuff we split, like we paid half now and half after January? Did we do that one year? Wasn't last
whatever
year,
you
year
give
before.
them, I do that anyway.
Yeah, that's
Never
mind.
normal for
Yeah.
That's normal?
Timing,
Yeah.
timing
Okay,
is
never mind.
everything.
I think
'Cause
years
taxes-
ago, we cut it one year,
Property
we
taxes.
cut it out completely, didn't we? When we were really in a bind.
Right.
well, to me, we in a bind. That's me.
When I go over my budget at my house, I start cutting money. And I quit eating steak and eat beans.
All right, the rural fire
So we're gonna-
protection and
we're gonna have to
stuff,
cut
'cause
some
that
money.
doesn't come out of the general fund though. That does?
This is general fund. This is all
Alright.
general fund.
So do you have any new profit ones, or
That's our three
these are
biggest
all the
ones.
ones we have? That's just it,
Big
okay.
voting.
Cause I know we give to like other ones too. They come in front of us and,
Which one?
oh, what is that one?
This bottom list is what she's talking about. We give
Oh, we
money
can-
to
okay.
those and some
Yeah,
things
yeah,
Centerstone.
they got my
Show up.
books, I
I
don't know.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's in there.
Yeah.
That's all we gave.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't nothing new that someone's applied for.
Cut a percentage for each one of them. It ain't gonna save much.
He's down there.
2% or 5%.
Small change.
Yeah.
It's from there on up is where the bulk of it is, 94, you know.
Where else did they get money from?
Fundraiser and.
But there's no other counties, 'cause I know they like travel too. Heard that one.
I don't see a lot of stuff on there that, I mean, the rural fire department, the rescue squad and stuff, just can't see cutting them. And that's $600,000. Then you got the senior citizens down there is 94,000, so that's 700,000 right there.
Those senior citizen centers, they really depend on us.
Yes, they do.
I say just leave it like it is. If we save
And all
five,
of
10,000, they won't help us at all.
Do we still have to do the 15,000 of tourism to the conference center? Yes,
No. I mean, it's,
it's out of our tourism tax money. Yep. And that has to go to tourism,
Yeah.
something for tourism.
Tourism and economic development.
and you have 911 patient in there. Oh, I did put several of them in there, so, because we lose funding otherwise. So, let's, my set off. Got the, going to South Central because we get. We need 719,000. I did put the
Okay.
appropriation to stay.
On this page right here, this is the expenditures general fund. It was for 2025, the original budget was 28.8, but when we're gonna close it out, it's gonna be 30.
It's amended.
Yeah,
I got the estimate
Okay.
now.
so it went up about $1 million. All right. I need to come up with $700,000. To cover that. Is that just to cover the fire department, rescue squad, and the senior citizens? Because we can't drop into the fund balance $3 million. I mean, that's not right. And that's what you'd be doing that.
If you can remember something I thought about, what, something we discussed is this fleet lease deal that we're getting out of, or what's that gonna cost us?
I don't know what to get out of it. We made, signed a 5-year contract.
We did, okay.
All right, does everybody
Is that
understand we
extra?
need to come up with about $600,000 to cover this, the rural fire department, rescue squad, and the senior citizens. I've left everybody else off. Cause right now, we're gonna be right at $3 million in the hole. And I know that everybody's gonna hate me and
You
everything
gotta-
else, but you gotta.
The individual wants to speak.
Yes, sir.
May I come to the table?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think I can solve the problem.
You'll be the man of the day.
I think we're close to 500,000 on payout. I'm guessing staff is looking, but I think we're at 500,000 to pay off the enterprise fleet deal. I'm getting 750,000 in SRO salary money. We can, we've always kept our salaries there. We're gonna have to, because that money's gonna get cut off by the state one of these days. But at 75,000 per school, we can supplant and pay off the fleet deal, which will save a big payment. That'll help you a little bit.
Where are you going to pay it off? You don't have to take it out of your,
You'll have to take it out of my,
the leases.
yes, but we will be done with that, and we will own the vehicles. We'll have to make some phone calls, but that's gonna be a couple $100,000. We may be able to cover entirely what the fire department's rescue squad and the senior citizens need. If that's a holdup, or at least a portion of it. I know we're good this year with SRO money, we already know that. Next year, I don't know. I mean, we get a changing of a governor and a changing of the state legislature. I mean, they're pulling all kinds of money for school system. You know, this voucher deal is, I mean, that's got even the lottery folks tore up. Cause they're just pulling out of that lottery left and right.
So, are you reducing your salaries?
No.
So how can, I don't
So
understand.
you've been receiving $750,000 for the last 2 years.
Yes,
And where's it been going?
general fund.
General fund. I've never cut the salaries, or I've never cut the positions out of my budget on
Right.
purpose. Because a lot of counties made a bad decision. Oh, we're getting $75,000 per school, and they've been living on that, and they took that money and it ended up in la-la land. Well, when this money dries up, example, the city of Tullahoma, all their SROs are paid straight out of that. And if they don't start adding those positions to the police department or somewhere, when that money cuts off, no SRO. And how's that gonna be in public perception in today's time? We've never done that because we had what? We already had SROs in all the schools. So we've been buying, I bought 12 new vehicles for the SROs, the cheapest thing you could buy, little Mavericks. We've bought the weapons they've needed, the training aids they've needed. I mean, I will be transparent, it's hard to spend $750,000 or $75,000 per school a year on one SRO.
Right.
But what we're doing is we're supplanting, so she would basically pull money out of my salary line item to pay off some debt, because we're getting that backed up. Is that making sense?
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, we would cut that and cover and help some of this
That
$3
makes
million
sense.
deficit. And help, and would also help with all the county employees.
Just
Right.
down in
Yes.
about 54, 110, 610, and 611.
What is, this year's a big payment, I think, isn't it, Mariana?
It's 192.
And I'm just thinking, let's just pay it off, let's just be done with
The
it.
interest it's 258,000 total. So what you're
To pay it
saying
off.
is,
I think it's more than that.
well, no, that's just the annual.
Okay.
payments.
258.
That's just for this year.
And I believe in our contract, we had a right to do an early get out. I think that was.
An early buyout?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what salaries are you reducing then?
Well, they're all under, it would be under deputies. I mean, it would just be in that large deputy line item that you would pull what you need right there.
So you think it's around about 500,000?
We would get that for sure number tomorrow if we made, we'd have to look.
Okay, so we're actually reducing that by 500, the salary line item, and then you got between interest and principal, it's 258. So,
We could knock a big chunk off of that.
so we would need, whatever the net is that what, okay.
Yeah, I wanna see what a total buyout is, and we're
Right.
clear, we own the vehicles, we're free and clear, and we're done with that program. And that would save you a payment, at least 200, that'd save you a couple $100,000 this year.
You would have
That's the smartest thing to do.
242,000.
That's how much
Pay
it
'em
would
off.
save us.
That would be
That would be-
added to the fund balance, added back.
And I think, you know, that would be on your debt side, which would help. I just wanted to throw that out there, because y'all are getting down to the nitty gritty here.
All right, so 242,000 out of about 700 that we need.
So you want,
Cause I'm not willing to go in the hole for this stuff, and it's gotta be paid for. Here's something to throw out, I'll be mean Tim and ugly Tim and everything else. If you drop the 7 to the 5, that would give us 305,000. Added to that 242, we would be at $550,000. And that would cover the fire department and the rescue squad. And we'd still have to come up with another $100,000 to do both senior citizens. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to
Okay, I'm
read
sorry.
his lines right now.
Makes sense, but don't pay the bills.
He's throwing too much at me.
Yeah, I didn't mean to, but
No,
I was.
no, it's okay, I wanna make sure.
And you can put in there, I mean, if we get to January, February, and we have more money than we ever thought we had, then you can look at doing a bonus or something else. I mean, we're already $2,085,000 into the fund balance.
I mean, if other people have to be cut, I feel like we need to cut a little bit from the fire department and squad, so why don't we do the 2023 or the 2024 budget? It's a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there on line items. I mean, I don't feel like everybody should have to be cut to save. I mean, we honestly, we need it. But if we're gonna be fair, we gotta be fair across the board if we're cutting.
I'm out in the rural, so I just think the rural fire department's very, very important. The rescue squad, they do all kinds of help to people, wrecks on the interstate, people at the lake. Thanks to Judd, they have the sonar to find people that have drowned. And I hate cutting employees too, cause that's who represents us.
Thank you, Sheriff, for throwing in your
Yeah.
ideas. I'm not inviting you to leave, but I
No,
just
but
wanted to
if-
recognize the fact that you had good ideas.
If tomorrow comes and we need to get a complete total, if that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Well, that-
hoping we might be to a point to where we might be able to cover it all.
That would be
It would
Thank
be
you, Chad.
wonderful.
blessings from heaven.
Close.
I know when it makes it to the big room a few years ago with a $1 million deficit projection, it met with almost hysteria. And then last year with a 2 million, or prior to not last year, but the one prior, same thing. And now you're looking at 3, right?
I don't wanna carry it through to
Yeah.
the floor.
No.
I'm not. I'm gonna have to do something.
And this is just a question, so if we go 5% and the insurance takes the 5%, employees go backwards,
They say the same,
they stay the same, or if it's more than 5%, then they would
then they would go
slip
less.
back a little bit.
Well, the insurance is not their total salary,
Well, I know,
okay?
I'm not that
So-
dumb.
Okay, well, you just made that statement, that if they have to pay 5% more for insurance, it offsets the whole 5% raise, but I don't think it would.
It would take the whole
equal-
5% pay raise.
I don't see how it could.
Well, 5% pay raise ain't very much, I figured it up.
How much is insurance a month? Oh, is it like school system? About $500?
The county pays $650 a month.
The county pays for that? All right, so if I'm an employee, how much do I have to pay?
Whatever plan you pick,
Oh, a family plan.
okay, you would, the county will pay up to $650.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay. So they might pay $100 a month? Minimum,
They could,
minimum,
depends.
minimum. All right, so 5% on $100 is $5. All right, so if you make, you go ahead, I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay.
So if I make 40,000. It's a $2,000 a year raise, so you know, 5 times 12 is 60. They'd make money if you're a $40,000 a year person, and that's probably low for a lot. And if the insurance goes up 5%, just say even if it's $10, it's 120. You're still gonna get a raise
Yeah.
at 5%.
Yep.
It's not gonna eat their whole raise up. And you got car insurance, you got gasoline, you got everything else that's going up too, and I just don't.
Groceries, water bill, gas bill.
Oh, I understand. I mean, everybody's living it, but we also had to answer to the taxpayers too, that,
Tullahoma's already talking about a property tax increase,
well,
and
Coffee
I
County
don't
ain't
want
going
us
to.
do
Yeah,
that.
I'll just tell you right now, Coffee County's not. One year they had Tim Morse budget and it was freeze it to last year. And I got labeled with that. And that was all right. I worked with Badge of Honor. We froze everything. Everybody stayed the same. Everybody got the same amount of money. I was not comfortable last year with the money at the $2 million, and we're in the hole.
Half of it,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Well, and it may be lower than that. But I can't see going to the floor with anything higher than that $2,085,000. I can't.
Mariana, where is the $2.5 million that the Arrowheads Aerospace Museum,
Capital project.
it's sitting there, right? Okay. So it's not in general fund, okay. But just a quick update on animal control. At no point did we have the whole expenditure for animal control covered by what we allocated. We allocated 500,000. We had a 500,000 donation. I've confirmed this past week that we're getting another 250. So that's 1.2. We're still, I'd say, several hundred thousand under what it's gonna cost. And everybody knew it going in there, but we had this real estate that we got rid of, and that's
That could
where
cover.
that's gonna come from.
Okay.
And our health department, I feel like we're in really good shape budget-wise on health department construction. We got that covered.
Good.
I have the fire
You're good.
sheriff's thinking here. Sometimes his way is different than mine. But we get the
No.
same.
Get the same result.
Yes, I- Let me train my brain. Okay, so that's like $258,000.
And we're looking for $1 million.
Looking
For
for
s-
whatever.
Yeah. We're not looking for $1 million. We're looking for
700.
600,000.
600,000 for the,
So it's
Same.
258, and my 305 would be 560. So it would be 40,000 off. And that's the difference between the 5% and the 7%.
The 5 and the 7 difference is right around 300,000, right?
305, yes.
That's 701,250, what you got? The 258.
All right, here's another one to throw out there, just so you know the numbers. The difference between the 5% and the 7% is $305,031.
Right.
The difference between the 3% and the 7% is $615,262.
Oh, I didn't throw this out there. What about, 5% now and 2% in January?
If the money's available.
No, I don't even wanna put a if on it, just say two, and the only way we can stop, 5% now, 2% in January, unless there's some kind of emergency comes up where we can't,
Cover it.
yeah.
But it's still gonna put us in debt. If it puts us in debt now, it's gonna put us in debt in
Well,
January.
it buys us a little time for, to see when the fund, when the revenues come
To
in, to
get
see
the
where
real
we're standing.
numbers,
Money's there, does John know?
to get the real numbers.
You have to project it anyway, don't you?
So you still want me to budget the full 7, but they get 5 till January, right? So I'm understanding right?
Do what now?
That's what he was suggesting, yes.
Even if we budget 7, it's 5 until January 1st, and we
Then
look at
2.
it again, or I
Right.
guess we need to do it.
We budget 5 until January and then
Okay.
budget 2.
That's what I'm-
Does that make sense?
And then make a budget amendment?
No, I just,
I think
do
what
right
she's
now.
talking about is budget 7 now, but only pay 5, right?
Right,
Right, only pay 5. So
Okay.
you're not paying them, you're not, you got the money, you're not paying.
But won't that make the department heads have to give their raises twice in 1 year?
Well, I don't have to do, well, if I want 7%, they,
I mean,
Do
is
it
someone
like
really
that.
gonna notice 1% or a 0.5%, or maybe no one will get 1% and then someone will get mad?
All right, so we're still looking for about 500,000, right? Okay. Where'd I set the 240?
Y'all think
It's
about
all in the
this, you're gonna go through this very same thing out there in the big room when you have about, 10 more commissioners that want to throw in their complaints or suggestions, cause I've seen it happen time and again. Cause it's only gonna be a recommendation from this committee. So whatever you do, make it easy to explain, so you can explain it to people.
So do you wanna make a motion to 5% or just leave it at 7 and
how'd I say that, one ago? 5 and 2?
5 and 2?
Leave it at 7,
Yeah.
but 5 now, 2 later.
She may budget for 7.
Right,
But we're only paying
but
5
we're
until
gonna pay
January.
5 and after January, we're gonna pay 2.
right, is what he said.
You make that in the form of a motion.
I make that in the form of the motion I had before at 7. You know what I'm talking about? The way we
Yes.
had it written out?
Yes.
It'd be 5
He's just trying
at
to
that
confuse
motion I had written out before. You get all that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, well, you got the original motion,
Just the-
Okay,
y'all-
5 to the department heads.
Now, we can get Tuesday night, and we can do this out there on the floor, because I'm sure there's gonna be people that are gonna come up with different ideas.
Well, I know,
Which
but
is good. I mean,
we're just trying to get through the night now.
Yeah,
I mean, right now, if you budget 7, right now, no matter when you pay it, it's still gonna
Yeah.
show
Show
3 when
right.
you get out there on the floor, right?
Right, right.
And that's what's gonna raise the red
All right,
flag.
This is just
yeah.
gonna be a delayed payment.
yeah. So by Tuesday, we
Banking
ought
on
to know
everything's
what the
better
sheriff's
by
gonna
January.
say. Shouldn't we?
Do that tomorrow.
He
Okay.
said tomorrow.
He said he'd do that tomorrow,
Well, I already put his 500,000 in there.
that he was gonna get you those salaries.
Lord,
Yeah, that matters not.
Lord, get
Yeah.
this
Okay.
all done. I put what he thought in there.
We just need to figure out what the payoff is on enterprise fleet and pay it off, be done with it, and then
Right,
you
I
can,
get
y'all
it.
can use that money however you want. Put it wherever you want.
Okay, so
Or-
tomorrow, you ought to know what that would be.
I'll find out what the total
Okay.
payoff is.
And I'll send you an email, get an email, and then send it to you, and you can send it to everybody in budget and finance,
Okay.
okay? And then everybody knows that the difference between the 7% and the 5% is $305,000. And the difference between the 7 and the 3 is $615,000. And that will, those are 3 options. If the sheriff can save us enough money here, which maybe half of that,
So do I still leave these out or put them in?
I think we ought to have the rural fire department, the rescue squad, and the, senior citizens in there. Because the senior citizens are very important.
I'm adding that back.
What's the appropriation to the state?
That's for the vocational training center. That's our building, but they do pay us rent.
Okay,
It just supports those programs.
yeah,
And then that's South Central, those are in there.
okay,
I've already put those
they're in there, okay.
Because that one saves us money on
Okay.
grants and some other stuff.
I'll come see him tomorrow, come up with an email about options, and that way everybody can see it. Is that all right?
Oh, sorry,
You and him?
Sure.
I'll be here in the morning too. I'll be here.
So
You
for
be
right
here.
now, we're sticking with what we got. Until we
7%,
see.
yeah,
Now.
which we're gonna be $3 million in the hole.
And then we're
Until
not
he
going
comes
forward
saves us.
with that.
That won't get us there.
No, no, we're gonna have to cut, I mean, you're gonna have to cut one salary line or something to come up with it.
But the 5%,
I don't know how to get money from
300,000 closer.
911.
right. And what will that new balance be if we went 5?
Back to the 5.
Just that.
2.
769 plus 248, what was it? So it's. Now, see, that's why I didn't want to print the whole thing out again.
Yes.
Okay, 5% is $511,077, which makes the revised fund balance. Something like that, 258. Then you end up with. Plus.
Mr. Chairman, we meet next week.
Oh, I'd say we are.
Just thought I'd throw that out.
That's what I was fixing to tell everybody. I would say be ready to have a meeting on the 12th and the 17th. It could be the 19th. Until we hash this thing back down. Okay. All right, so tomorrow I'll send y'all an email. That way you'll sort of know, it'll be about 11 o'clock or so. I'll send you an email out. And that way you'll know with the 3, 5, 7, and the fire department, the rescue squad, and the senior citizens. And that's dropping everything else. And that'll show us where we're at.
One question. Have we ever went back to the departments and said to them, we don't want to pick through the budget again. We realize your needs are real, but could you all identify to us perhaps things that might be considered a wish list to 2% or whatever that number would be to come up with what we need and say, would you identify so that we can give your people a raise that we full well know you deserve, and can you help us solve this matter by identifying a few cuts in each area?
One year they went back, told everybody to cut 10%,
That's,
period.
that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's been done before. many
I was
times,
just
yeah.
asking if,
When we're really in a
since we're,
bind.
when we're real, I think we're really in a bind.
Froze last year.
Well,
Not comfortable.
it's not comfortable, but it's not bindish like it was years ago.
Well, just like
Oh, I
the
know,
sheriff
yeah.
identified to us,
Yeah.
you know, that's admirable.
But if we froze it last year's budget, except for the maintenance ones that go up, except for the things that go up, freeze everything.
You know, just a
the
suggestion that we
5%
might
number.
be able
We'll
to
let you
do
pick
that
the
and let
departments that can
them
keep theirs,
identify.
All right, here's one more thing to think about. If we freeze everything at last year's budget levels, last year's budget, except for the maintenance agreements that go up and taxes and things like that, you would a whole lot more easily give the 769,000 the 5% raise. It would not affect us that bad, and I'll have that for you tomorrow too. If we freeze everything to last year's budget.
Is that also doing the list that we're working on? Is that everybody on that list or just those 3?
That would keep rural fire department, rescue squad, and the
Senior citizen.
senior citizens. And that would be it, as of right now. Now, people can add to it Tuesday night. I'm sure we'll be here the 12th. I'm sure we'll be here the 17th. Maybe we'll have one by the 17th. That way she'll have time. Is that all right with y'all? Okay, I got one more then. Rural fire department. And that comes out of rural capital projects,
Fund.
which has considerable money in it. We have been splitting $250,000 each year with the installation of smoke detectors set at 10, I think, per community fire department, and they receive that money split. It's $41,700 and something dollars. If you meet that, they can put their smoke detectors in, it's given to them, they have bought equipment, they have bought turnout gear, they have bought all kinds of stuff to keep them, and to me, it's rural money, and it's cheaper to do it this way than it is to have a fire department in the county. And it's not a donation, they're going out working for it to get it. So, I don't know if the chairman can make a motion or not. Mr. Mayor, can the chairman make a motion?
Shouldn't, but
Okay.
How,
I think you'll get one without you.
have you noticed any progressiveness in that program? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
is it still
yes,
still
that-
going
yeah,
on
they're
strong?
doing their turnout gear. One of them's getting to where they have a machine that pumps oxygen into their
Right,
tank and
right.
stuff, yes.
But I'm talking about,
Oh,
are they
with
still
the-
installing those
Yes,
in?
yes. And that's something that people need to know is in 10 years, they're out of cycle.
Right,
And if you take them down, they're out of cycle, they're destroyed. If you've removed those fire things, they have a 10-year life on them, but if you mess with them, they're obsolete. And
Right.
people, this is free to the community because it's supplied by the
The
state of
state.
Tennessee, and it saves lives.
Yeah.
Plus, you're helping your rural fire department get money.
So
So,
it's part of it, fire prevention that is.
Yes.
in
they're
there.
getting the fire detectors from the state.
yes,
Okay, just like,
Yes.
like Manchester and Oklahoma.
Yes, like everybody does, but they have to document 10 houses
Right.
per year, that they have put them in and they receive that money. And then she's got it worked out now that they know that they have, yeah, they are good. They have to buy it this year, this calendar year, and it has to be documented for this calendar year. You can't roll it over, you have to spend the money. So they're buying things that they need, which is helping them. So if somebody'd like to make a motion to that.
How much is that to each fire department?
41,000, it's a quarter,
So we
yeah,
pay that?
250,000 divided 6 ways, because we also
And that's on
give
top
money
of what
to
they're
the
getting
rescue
now?
squad.
yes,
Rescue squad also gets it. So
that will come out of
250
real
divided by
money.
6, it's 41,667
Capital outlay money?
Rule.
Capital outlay money?
No, it comes out of rural
is.
money,
Rural
yeah.
fund.
Mhm.
Is there
Rural
money-
money only.
money in there?
It says there is.
So I need to make the motion.
Yes. Of $250,000,
$250,000.
yes, to be split 6 ways.
We
Okay.
split 6 ways.
Commissioner Brown,
Rural
I second.
Project Fund.
Out of oral capital projects.
all right. Ms. Jones seconded. Any discussion? My eyes are blind. All those in favor by aye? Aye. Okay. All right, I'm gonna plan on us meeting the 12th and the 17th. We'll cancel the 17th if we have to. I hope we have to. I'll send out all that to you. Think about what all you can do. If you wanna freeze it, we can freeze. You can freeze and give the raise and look at it that way, just different ways. We need to come in under that $2 million though, because we're showing the county, showing the taxpayers that we're being good with their money. And I do think the employees need a raise because stuff goes up. And by freezing the budget, that would be one way that would easily, well, it wouldn't easily, but it will help knock down the deficit if we do give a raise. Does that make sense? Because I know I'm not talking right now.
So when you say freeze, it means everything.
Go back to last year's
but-
budget, except
whatever
for
last year's budget.
maintenance.
But
Yes,
what the employees
Yes.
raise again.
yes, ma'am.
Just wanna make sure.
We would go back to last year's budget, hold there, except for maintenance agreements that go up, payroll taxes.
Utilities,
Yes,
supplies,
things
there's
like
all
that.
kinds of things
But
that's
it
gonna be
would-
variable
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
vertical direction, you know, which,
You'd still be holding it down though. There would be some things that people have to cut. You just have to cut within your budget. You made it this year. You know, it's like Mr. Brown said, if you don't have enough money, what do? You cut. You don't go buy a new car. You go buy a clunker like I do. Okay, everybody good? Anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, see you
Second.
Tuesday. All right,
That was just-
I said the
12th
12th and the
17th.
17th.
If
Yes,
for
ma'am.
sure.
Right after Tuesday.
Tina